Genesis chapter 50, verse 15. When Joseph's brothers saw that his father was dead, they said, "It may be that Joseph will hate us and pay us back for all the evil that we did to him." Okay, so after the death of the father, and I'm pretty sure after the burial as well, when all this hoopla concerning the burial, this huge procession was done, and everybody kind of returned to normal, their question would have been lingering in their minds ever since moving to Egypt and finding out about Joseph is, what will happen the day our dad is dead? Is he going to then pay back? Is he just putting on a smile now because of our father? Or what is going to happen? Okay, so is he going to pay us back for all the evil? So see, they still, even 7 years later, 17 that is, they do recognize that they did evil. Something they didn't recognize when they did it. But that's how sin works, right? When you sin, you don't think it's evil. It's only later on when the severity of the repercussions hit you that you start really thinking about what you did. Verse 16. So they sent a message to Joseph saying, "Your father gave this command before he died." So they sent a message to Joseph, it's like a courier or whatever, like a message, take to Joseph, tell him that this. They didn't go themselves because they were thinking that maybe Joseph is going to get back at them now. So this is not the wisest thing for them to go. So it's like Jacob did years before with Esau, dividing the people up into different groups. So if Esau finds the one, then maybe the others will have time to get away, kind of idea, right? So as well, they sent someone to take a message concerning what their father said. We don't read it in any of the two previous chapters. Their father did say this, but in how his father was giving them the blessing and the way he was doing it, we clearly can see that he is in life, if not directly, for sure, he was indirectly telling Joseph to not do anything. Okay, verse 17. So say to Joseph, so this is according to the brothers what Jacob said, which again, because we don't see that, we don't hear it from Joseph. Moses never put it in Jacob's mouth. We don't know if he really said it or they are just putting words into his mouth. If he did or not, we don't need to think of their brothers as liars. Years before, when they sold him, yes, they lied to their father, but they changed. Are they going to do this lying now? I don't think they're going to, because it does not fit in their character and not in the character or their character or the character of the story. So I don't think they came up with something. And as I already explained in the previous chapter, we saw in the way he did the blessings that, this is not, this would not have contradicted at all Jacob's hope, right? Because Jacob wanted to break that family curse. And you can go in as well and listen again to the lessons I taught on chapter 48, 49, especially the conclusion to 49. So, telling them, Father said, please forgive this transgression of your brothers, this sin, because they did evil. Again, we see in the previous verse that they admitted that they were evil. We see it in this verse as well now, that they are again admitting to their evil. So if they were lying and their father never said that, then by implying that their father knew about it, okay, they were building okay, let me try and put it this way. So if they're lying that their father said this, okay, then that would mean that Jacob did not, even till then, know that they sold Joseph, right? And Joseph would have known that otherwise they would have talked about that a number of times with their father, sure, okay? But the fact that they do say that their father said that they sold him, so in other words, that means that their father, according to them, they knew. So if the father didn't know, so if they're lying here, then Joseph would have known that they're lying. But so since they're saying their father said this, that, and their father knew, they would have been speaking about it. So it would make, therefore, their words a lot more reliable. And for that reason, again, I believe that Jacob did say this, and they're not just coming up with stories here concerning what Jacob maybe said or maybe didn't say. Okay, so it's because I know why I'm making a point of this. It's just because lots of people go, scholars again, or liberals especially, about this idea, but this, he would not have said these kinds of things. They are just putting words into his mouth. This is what they want. This is what Moses. I mean, this is, I don't believe it for 1 second. Yes, here and there, they would use the word order in a different way. They would say it politically more correct, like George Orwell style. Okay, the one writer born in Myanmar. And so yes, but that's not lying. That's just saying it so for the in a cultural way. But it's totally different when you put words that wasn't said by a person into the mouth of a person as if he said it, especially something this important. Okay. So yes, his idea that Jacob asked his last words, kind of, his last words were, "Bury me." That was his last wish. So this was as well his words, and I believe it was, and Joseph saw this as well. Then he would, like, he did the burial, and as his father wished, so he will do this as well. So they're asking, so please forgive us. Again, years later on, please forgive us. And Joseph's reaction to that was to weep when they spoke to him. Now they sent a message, so through them, through the messengers, the messengers, but the messengers were carrying their words, so as if they were saying. So therefore, he wept when they spoke to him in such a way. Verse 18. His brothers also came and fell down before him and said, "Behold, we are your servants." Okay, so after sending the message, Joseph weeping, now they are coming as well to come and say, "Yes, we are your servants." Okay, again, this is exactly the same kind, or how it happened with Jacob and Esau. Remember the breaking up into groups. First the one group, the servants taking the animals and to give a message, and then only they came. So in this case as well, the first someone, we don't know who, taking the message, and only then they came. And like Jacob came to his, "I'm your servant," the same way they come here and they're saying, "We are your servants." Okay, so there's a lot of connection. And that is why at the end and the conclusion again of chapter 59, I spoke about the breaking of the family curse, because we're going to see Joseph is not, yes, Esau didn't react, he didn't want to, but Jacob didn't trust him. Okay, so he didn't went with him. We saw it, I spoke about that, I explained that already. But in this case, it's not really a question. They can't really, they are there in Egypt, they don't really have a cop out. So if this is going to go south for them, then it's going there. Unlike Jacob had a choice still there by not going. But the curse is broken because they stay with their brother. Unlike, ultimately, even if Esau forgave Jacob there in the previous, and like I said, he didn't believe in, but the curse wasn't broken because he still didn't trust him. He still didn't go with him. Now in this case, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Verse 17. Say to Joseph, "Please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, because they did evil to you. And now, please forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of your father." Joseph wept when they spoke to him.